And to a certain extent, I get it. Magic had a Hall of Fame career. He won 5 NBA championships, 3 Finals MVPs, and 3 League MVPs. He made 10 All NBA teams and made it all the way to the NBA Finals a total of 9 times in his career. So, relatively to
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So it's been a while since I've checked in on Johnny Arnett. I don't know if his videos just stopped showing up on my feed or what. I had to check and make sure I was subscribed. I still am, but his videos, he's dropped a lot of videos lately and none of them were popping up on my feed. So I actually had to go in and check his channel and see what was up. But this one caught my eye. This one is called Why Magic Johnson Should Have Been the GOAT. And I think this is going to be very interesting because here in 2025, hearing all these GOAT debates and GOAT lists and stuff, I don't see people talking about, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson nearly enough. And considering they're in my top 5, I find it just to be a little bit wild how much everyone forgot about Magic. He's got those 5 rings that I think get just discredited for some reason. I guess because he had Kareem, but it's a tandem. It was a dynamic duo. So I don't see us discrediting Shaquille O'Neal's championships. So it's always been a weird double standard that I see with Magic Johnson, and somehow it leads to him not being appreciated nearly enough. And considering he had many, many great years ahead of him, if not for contracting the HIV virus, I mean, he showed us how great he was. He could have got 6, 7, who knows? Who knows how high the ceiling was for that man and his accomplishments if he didn't have to step away from the game and pass the torch on to Michael Jordan, essentially. But anyways, rambling aside, that's how I feel about Magic. So underappreciated. And I'm looking forward to this. So as I always do, I'm going to link this video from Johnny Arnett down below in the description for you all. So if you guys want to check out the channel, I highly recommend it. It's good enough for me to go on a hunt for, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, without further ado, please leave this video a like. It helps my channel out a ton, and I appreciate it. Johnny, if you're watching, what's up, bro? Hope you're doing well. And I now segue into the coolest basketball YouTube intro of all time. I remember a while back there was a Johnny video maybe like a month ago that didn't have the intro, and I was scared. I was like, no, don't get rid of it, man.
When we talk about the greatest what-ifs in NBA history, there's usually several different names that come to mind, like Len Bias, Grant Hill, Greg Oden, and Derrick Rose, just to name a few.
Throw T-Mac on there.
One of the players who typically isn't mentioned in that group is Earvin Magic Johnson. And to a certain extent, I get it. Magic had a Hall of Fame career. He won 5 NBA championships, 3 Finals MVPs, and 3 League MVPs. He made 10 All NBA teams and made it all the way to the NBA Finals a total of 9 times in his career. So relatively to the other all-time greats, he had a very full and successful career. But the truth is, that was all achieved in what should have been the first half of his career.
Absolutely.
That's because on November 7th, 1991, Magic shocked the basketball world when he announced publicly that he had obtained HIV.
Can you imagine if Magic had a full career like LeBron James? Like if he played 22 seasons, could you imagine the amount of accolades and accomplishments Magic would have gotten? A quick side note, by the way, Kareem, I saw on this on a documentary, I forgot the title of it right now, that when Magic contracted HIV and he shared the news with everybody, it was such a blow to the Lakers and such a blow to Los Angeles, and Kareem knew it, and he was loyal to LA, that Kareem offered to come out of retirement to play for the fans, and play the following season after Magic had to retire. I thought that was really cool. That kind of like loyalty and just loyalty straight up does not exist. And I thought that was such a cool thing. He wasn't talking about pay or anything. He was like, yeah, put me on a 1-year deal and I'll play for you guys. Just so the fans have something familiar, You know, because at that point they lost Pat Riley and now they lost Magic. So it was like Kareem was the only familiar thing they could bring back. Anyways, I thought that was a cool tidbit.
And as a result, he was retiring immediately from the NBA. Now, many people assume that this retirement happened in the twilight of Magic's career. But the truth is, that's only because we've grown accustomed to this retirement scenario since 1991. In reality, Magic was nowhere close to the twilight of his career.
Yeah, not even
He
close.
was the league MVP just one season prior, and he was the league MVP runner-up to Michael Jordan in 1991. He led his Lakers to the NBA Finals right before his retirement, and in his final game before he made the announcement, he put up a monstrous triple-double. He was only 31 years old when he played his final game in 1991. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
That's like LeBron James retiring in 2016 and Steph Curry retiring in 2020. Just imagine how different their legacies would have been if that had been the case.
Well, that would have been Michael Jordan retiring before his second three-peat too, right?
From
I
this
think.
sense, Magic Johnson was a major what if.
Yeah.
He had the highest career average for assists in NBA history. So if he had kept playing, he may have ended up as the NBA's all-time leader by the end of his career.
Yep.
The Lakers also remained very competitive throughout the 1990s, so it is very possible that Magic could have made it to the NBA Finals several more times. Imagine if
Yeah, that was a run where the Suns were beating the Lakers in the playoffs, and I remember those series pretty clear. You throw in a Magic Johnson in there, I don't know if we're going to win those series anymore, to tell you the truth. So Magic was definitely going to go to the finals more. We were going to see a rematch between the Bulls and the Lakers in the finals. I have no doubt in my mind.
he had 13 or 14 finals appearances by the end of his career. If Magic had played...
Also, one last tidbit. If Magic was still active and still playing prime ball, I have to question whether or not Michael Jordan would have retired or not. Because yes, a big majority of the reason was his father's passing. But another part of the reason that was burning Jordan out throughout that 92-93 season was the fact that, you know, he didn't have that other guy to compete with, and his entire career was trying to knock off the king from the top of the mountain. And he did it with Magic, but then they never got the rematch, which, you know, must never have sat well with either of these guys, Magic or Jordan. But yeah, that was a big part of why Jordan left. He was like, I've done everything I need to prove. But if he had Magic Johnson out there still just like racking up accolades, it might have sat different with him. And he was like, and he would have thought, I got to stay in here so I have a better legacy than this guy.
Until he was 40 years old, like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, then that would have meant that Magic would have been teammates with Shaq and Kobe for the final 4 seasons of his career, including the 1999 to 2000 season, where the Lakers won the NBA championship.
And imagine that team with these egos, with Magic's leadership, like and the camaraderie that he always had on his teams. This could have been a whole different monster between Shaq, Kobe, and Magic.
Imagine a world where half of Shaq and Kobe's years together, they had Magic Johnson running the floor as their point guard. In this universe, you have to wonder, would Magic have 8 or 9 championships? If that was the case, how could he not be viewed as the GOAT ahead of Michael Jordan? Now make no mistake.
And how beautiful. The only one that was going to be standing in his way was Michael Jordan on the East. Man, we got robbed. We got robbed of something amazing because of the HIV virus.
I know full well that Magic did come back for the 95 to 96 season and promptly retired at the conclusion of that year. But here's the thing. I don't think Magic retires again in 96 if he never retired the first time in 1991.
Oh yeah, no way.
When Magic came back in 1995, he was trying to adapt to a young team that wasn't used to his leadership and mindset.
He was also playing like a point power forward, which was a very different thing for him. He was playing more in the post, which is not Magic's game whatsoever.
Famously,
but he was also like beefed up and he was out of shape at this point because he had been away from the game for 4 years at this point. So yeah, I remember that pretty well, but that wasn't quite Magic anymore, you know?
Players like Nick Van Exel and Cedric Ceballos didn't mesh well with Magic Johnson. and there was jealousy and chemistry issues due to there being a new sheriff in town. It ended up being a chaotic and tumultuous season to say the least, and when Magic retired for the final time at the end of the 1996 season, it wasn't because he had nothing left in the tank, but it was because he was tired of the drama.
Yeah.
And wasn't enjoying the team as much as he used to.
At Cedric Ceballos, I think he didn't show up for a game at one point, and I forgot the reasoning, I forgot the situation, but yeah, Magic was so burnt out with the drama that he was just like, no, I'm done. You know, if you're not going to take this serious, I'm not going to take this serious. And he had I'd never seen Magic with this attitude, but he was like, I'm trying to help you guys win, you know, and you guys don't even want to show up. So Cedric Ceballos, I always liked CC. He was a great Phoenix Sun, but learning that on that same documentary was really interesting, that CC was the one who really pushed Magic over the edge. Nick Van Exel a little bit too, but the final straw, the final nail, was Cedric Ceballos not showing up.
If Magic never retires the first time in 1991, then there's never this awkward changing of leaderships and atmospheres. And instead of Magic learning to play with guys like Van Exel and Ceballos, they would instead be learning to play with him. I truly believe that if Magic never retired due to HIV, then he likely ends his career as the greatest winner in NBA history since Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Maybe that universe even makes more sense in the grand scheme of basketball. Because after all, Magic Johnson was the ultimate teammate. He was the greatest example of a guy who made his teammates better. In the very first season of his career, he started at center in place of an injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and won the championship with some jaw-dropping numbers. Yes, he won championships with Kareem by his side, and people usually use that fact to discredit him. But in the first season after
if you flip that argument, well, Kareem won his championships with Magic by his side. So what's the big deal? You know, it's hard to name a team outside of no, it's seriously hard to name a team that doesn't have at least a tandem that had any success on the grand stage. Closest thing I can think of is like the 04 Pistons, but that is a solid 5, so that's different. Same with like the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. It's hard to point out a tandem specifically to, you know, because Dirk was the guy, but once again, solid squad around him. So with the Lakers, they had a tandem. With the Bulls, they had a tandem. The Shaq and Kobe Lakers, that was a tandem. You know, even the Gasol Kobe Lakers, that was a tandem. It only gets a little crazy when it becomes, you know, a big 3 or a big 4. That's when it's like, okay, y'all better win if you're gonna stack that many stars together.
Kareem's retirement, Magic led his Lakers to a 63-win season.
Hold on. Was that his last year?
Kareem's retirement,
Okay.
Magic led his Lakers to a 63-win season.
After Kareem.
And the season after that, Magic stunned the basketball world by taking the Lakers to the NBA Finals once again.
Mm-hmm. They were just figuring things out without Kareem. You gotta believe, if you watched Magic's career, he was going to rebuild and figure this out over the next couple of years. Obviously, he already went to the finals. And if it wasn't for, you know, the hungriest Chicago Bulls team we've ever seen, he probably would have had a 6th championship right there.
Regardless of the weapons at his disposal, Magic was going to be competitive year in and year out. And he proved that time and time again on the basketball court.
Hey, he's a winner.
So now it's your turn. If Magic had never been forced to retire in 1991, how do you think we would view his legacy today? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below.
It's a dicey one.
Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Oof. That's a hard one. He definitely wins at least one more. So I say at least 6 championships for Magic Johnson. I think we would have had, you know, another 3 or 4 finals appearances. The only reason I don't give him more than 6 so easily is that he was going to be going against the Bulls in those finals, and a lot of those finals. And then there was a couple of seasons where Houston probably would have beat them. and it would have competed heavily against Utah. So it would have been great. It would have just been fantastic. But I think Magic and forming a team around Magic, they could have broken through before 1996. But after 96, they're going to the finals every year, I think, until Magic decides to retire. And he'll play a different role in that scenario. But man, guys, I got to give him 6 or 7. And then I question Michael Jordan because he probably doesn't get 6 so fast, but I think he still eventually gets 6. He's not going to walk away from the game. He's not going to retire. So he lost so many years in his prime by retiring multiple times, but I don't think he was going to be doing that if Magic was out there basically like fighting to be that position at the top of the mountain. But we'll never know. But that's the way I see it. So I say still 6 at least for Jordan, but I also got at least 6 for Magic. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Call me crazy if you want in the comments, but I'm curious about what you think about that. Because like I said, at least 6. Magic already had 5. And he had another like 8 to 9 years in his career. So at least one more championship. And Jordan still gets 6. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think I'm crazy? If you do, let me know. Anyways, everyone, thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Comment down below what your opinions are. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And as always, be water, my friends.